It began in 1976 with a simple mission.
I want to create a golf course for the players that they would enjoy, one that would test them, and also treat them the way I like to be treated when I went to a golf tournament. I think that most everybody that goes through here comes back and says, that's my favorite golf tournament, and I like to play in the Memorial Tournament.
Today, on the grounds where the Golden Bear himself used to hunt for prey in his youth, the world's elite golfers now pray for birdies in their hunt for one of the most prestigious trophies on tour. The victor's spoils are not only the glittering piece of hardware bestowed upon him, but a lasting snapshot in time, resulting in an indelible memory. What memories will be created this week to join the legions from the past?
Oh, yes!
Look at this shot. Look at this. Might go in. Might go in. Might go in. It is in. That was incredible.
The Memorial Tournament, presented by Nationwide Insurance, is next. The PGA Tour proudly presents the Memorial Tournament, presented by Nationwide Insurance, as part of the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. And welcome to our enhanced coverage of the Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide Insurance. From Dublin, Ohio, some clouds overhead. We had a couple of weather delays on Friday. The second round concluded this morning. Take a look at the current conditions, 80 degrees. Still a chance for some thunderstorms later today. The 73 players who made the cut, playing in groups of 3 and going off tees 1 and 10. You're watching feature group coverage today, part of our enhanced coverage on DirecTV and PGATour.com, and take a look at Jim Furyk, Tiger Woods, and Zach Johnson as they play the par 4 6th. That's right, Tiger Woods 6 over par, and it was worse. Later on, we'll see Mike Weir and Rory McIlroy, so we'll see in our enhanced coverage today on DirecTV the top 2 ranked players in the world, Woods and McIlroy. Grant Boone, Mark McCumber, Bill Cratchit with you, and Charles Schwartzel, first round leader after a 7 under par 65. Stumbled a bit yesterday, but came back this morning and shot a 1 under par 71. He now leads by 1. Bill Haas, the 36-hole leader, has given back a stroke. There's Davis Love III, the Ryder Cup captain. Mark still playing great.
Absolutely. Nice to see him playing again. He made his return after surgery on his neck at the Players' Championship, and what a great career he's had.
Jim Furyk, you see there at 1 under par. Furyk, Johnson, Tiger all began today at +1, and it has been a tale of, well, a couple of different directions. Furyk going in the right direction, that man Tiger Woods, and Zach Johnson going the wrong way. We're on the green at 6, and Bill Cratchit is down there following this marquee group of 3.
And Furyk and Zach Johnson both hit this par 5 in regulation, so they will have birdie putts. On the other hand, Tiger Woods drove it in the left-hand rough, actually had to lay up short of the water that fronts this green, and has hit his third to within about 8 feet behind the hole. But Furyk, pretty much what we see week in and week out from Furyk. Greens in regulation, fairways, just an all-around solid game, and just let a birdie opportunity slip by on the 5th, but it's just been solid up to this point, guys. This putt's going to dip a pretty good bit from his right to left.
Not like that.
Not that much left.
Jim Furyk has made it from everywhere today. He's blasted in twice for birdie from greenside bunkers. And Mark, it's one of those days.
He's had more trouble when he's been close to the hole. He missed about a 6-footer on the last hole for birdie, but what a beautiful stroke by Furyk on these greens that are really quick, Billy. 14 on the stimp meters. We see this ball releasing to the hole. Gravity takes over as it dives into the right center of the hole.
That got a grin out of Fluff. At least I think that was a grin underneath that mustache.
I think it was.
Billy, you and I have had the chance to play here a lot through the years. Are these greens about as fast as you've ever seen them?
They are, Mark, and as you referenced to 14 on the stimp meter, so you really have to take the high line. You really have to take the highest point, and as you said, let gravity take over. Just let it work its way to the hole. Anytime you start trying to jam it in. That's when you run into trouble here at Muirfield.
You're looking at a couple of guys who've won on some of the fastest bent grass greens you'll ever play. Zach Johnson and Tiger Woods, a couple of Masters champions. But Billy, Tiger has struggled on these greens this week by and large. 30 putts each of the first couple of days, and he struggled again today.
Yeah, and I think if you go back to Doral, where he had just gotten the putting lesson from Steve Stricker in 72 holes, he just has 100 putts for the week. Certainly, it just doesn't compute. This would be a nice save right here, but for Tiger to shoot 44 on the front nine where he drove the ball was shocking to me.
Tiger for par.
That's too low.
So his first bogey of the front nine, which is his second nine. Billy referenced the 44 that Tiger shot on his first 9 holes. The back 9 here at Muirfield Village. We'll show you that here momentarily, but a wayward left tee shot here at 6 leads to bogey for Tiger. They head to the par 5 7th. Feature group coverage on DirecTV from the Memorial. After the birdie putt at 6 from long range, Jim Furyk on the tee at 7. Billy?
Well, this par 5 right back into the wind. Just want to try to take it to the corner. And as usual, finding the fairway, Mark.
He did, Billy. Looks like he hit that a little bit on the heel. He's going to have definitely a layup for Furyk. This hole, through the years, has played quite easy. 17th easiest hole on the golf course. But back into the wind today, and fairways are a little soft, Billy.
Fairways are a little soft with the rain, but there are some areas that the ball is releasing, but this certainly is not going to be one because the tee shots are actually pitching into a little bit of a slope, so it's kind of killing the tee shot right away.
Zach Johnson letting it rip at 7. You heard someone yell Iowa. Of course, the Cedar Rapids Masters champion. He's got the Champions Tour not too far away from home there in Des Moines.
They're playing a golf course I walked with my son just a couple years ago in a Western Junior, Wakanda up and down golf course. I believe it's the course that Dean Beeman won a U.S. Amateur on years ago.
Now Tiger Woods way left off the tee at 6 with the driver.
Yeah, and actually only the really poor drive that he's really hit, Grant.
Left again. Only, well, you have 18 holes tomorrow. A couple of holes left here. And that's it for Tiger before he tees it up at Marion at the U.S. Open, which he played earlier this week. Let's take a look at Tiger Woods' first 9 holes. Couple of makeable birdie opportunities that he missed at 10 and 11, and then marked this tee shot at the tough 12.
Well, he's taking dead aim on a very tricky hole on a windy day, going right at the flag. It was aggressive play, and look what happens. This ball dives into the bunker, leaving him a very difficult bunker shot, and you're going to see in just a moment. Look at this. He's got to aim 90 degrees left of the hole, just playing to try to get it on the green. At this point, you're playing really for an outside chance of 3, wanting to make 4 and get out of there. So he's left with a putt of over 40 feet, maybe 50 feet, up over a ridge. Very difficult to get the speed on this putt. He's done this so well this year, but not so far this week, as this ball comes over the hill, gathers speed on this 14 stent meter reading greens, works way and away from the hole. Now he has this for bogey. Important putt starting around where you're trying to make up ground. You can see he misses out on the right, runs it a good 3 feet by. He would make this putt. He'll tap this in, but he walks off with a disappointing double bogey.
Now, after a makeable birdie putt missed at 14, in good position here at the 15th off the tee, but how about this second? Yet the follow-through tells you all you need to know.
Well, for a right-hander, he's got a right to left wind to a left hole location. Couldn't have a better setup, but he got over the ball, missed it long and left, pitched his second shot under the trees to here, and this is his 4th. And watch what happens again. We talk about gravity. This ball's going to work away from the hole, and it will not stop till it gets off the green.
So that lengthy putt from the fringe for a par 5 for Tiger, which he has owned. He's owned par 5s this year. 61% of the time he's made birdie or better, and yet now he'll have that putt just to save bogey.
And he's already made bogey, double bogey the first 2 rounds on one of the easiest holes in the golf course. And watch this. Powers it through the break, runs that 3 feet by. He would make that for another double. He's played that hole 5 over par. Now we move ahead a hole to the 17th. After a very good tee shot, he takes an aggressive line. I can understand he's trying to make up ground, but with a right to left wind, he tugs this ball to the left. And guess what that is? Deep, gnarly bluegrass, rough, no green to work with. Little bit of a chunk trying to hit it perfect. Now he's off the green again. How many times have we seen him putting for par from off the green? Here it is at 17 again from about 12 feet up the hill.
No fringe benefit for Tiger on this first 9 holes. A couple of 3 putts from the fringe and then a 2 putt for bogey at 17. Spun his second shot at 18 off the green to this point, and then maybe tries to get a little too greedy here with his 3rd shot.
Well, he spun this one, and watch what's going to happen. Watch what's going to happen as this picks up speed, feeds off the green, down the fairway. It's still rolling. He's going to end up further away from the hole on his 4th shot than he was on his 3rd shot, and you can see the disgust and the frustration all over his body language. Now, this shot's probably harder than the 3rd one. He's got to carry this over the ridge and stop it. Consummate short game, keeps grinding. You can see that ball spin to a stop. Good news, bad news. Great pitch, bad news. This is the hardest little 4-footer you'll ever want to have. You could putt this back down off the green again.
This for bogey.
Just gets it started, misses on the low side. Watch this. Feeding away from the hole to some 7 or 8 feet. Now he's got another putt for double bogey.
This for a 43 on his first 9 holes, and with that miss mark, his all-time highest score ever on any 9 holes on the PGA Tour of 44.
And we're used to seeing him at the end of the leaderboard, but usually the top end, not the bottom end. He would make the turn, bottom of the field for those who've made the cut.
Dead last. But, Billy, we've seen him on the first 9 holes. The front 9, his second 9, we've seen him finally get a couple of putts to go in, that 6th hole notwithstanding, but 3 birdies on this front 9.
Yeah, and pretty comfortable with the golf swing and hitting good shots, and Zach Johnson hitting his second shot at the par 5. That's going into the left-hand rough. And you heard Zach say,
yeah,
the wind is very strong out here. It almost blew him over, and the wind is gusting. In fact, talking to Joe LaCava and Damon Green, it has been hard to figure out all week. The Tiger. Up and over the tree. That needs to get down, and that's going to be in the right rough.
Billy, that was vintage Tiger. You've been as close as you are to him now when he has unleashed some of these swipes through the years.
Well, he's taken a major swing with trying to hit a high power hook. You can see him really roll the wrist over as he falls back, trying to get that ball back into the fairway. But like Billy said, if that direction is going to feed through the fairway into the rough, a lot of players couldn't even attempt that. That takes a lot of speed and strength, and Tiger's got probably more than anybody out here. It's a disappointing tee shot, though, on a hole that he expects to have a chance to knock it on in 2.
Well, you're talking about a player in Tiger Woods who's the all-time scoring leader at the Memorial, 69.63. You just do the math, Mark. He was almost 2/3 of the way there after just 9 holes today.
That's a math he's not going to want to meditate on tonight. You know, his stroke average for the year is a stroke lower than anybody else on tour. He's been the most consistent. He leads in so many categories, the all-around statistical category, which means he's the best at everything just about. But I'll tell you something about this golf course, this wonderful Jack Nicklaus Desmond Muirhead golf course, that if you're off a little bit and you get windy conditions, it can really expose you. So that's what we're seeing today. He's playing with a guy, you know, Zach Johnson, a past Masters champion, who, you know, himself is 7 over for the day.
Charles Schwartzel now leads the Memorial by 2. We're back to the 7th in a moment. Third shot for Tiger Woods at the par 5 7th.
Well, 139 yards directly right back into the breeze. And this ball up and moving, it's going right through the wind. Well, that wind never even touched that shot.
You know, Billy, you mentioned his second shot needed to get down. It's a good break for Tiger that it did stay in the fairway. How much harder is that second shot out of that bluegrass rough for the third shot?
Oh, well, you'd have been aiming for the opening. Yeah, that's a pretty good shot by Zach from that primary rough on the left-hand side. He's going to keep easing back towards the front, though. That ball's still rolling.
Now Furyk and Billy, how about the punch and counter punch with Furyk and Johnson against Tiger here?
Yeah, well, Jim made a mistake here. He let the second shot get into that primary rough on the right-hand side. About all he could do right there was just play for that little opening that Zach put it in, and you take it from there. You just can't go ahead and force anything if you miss the fairway on this par 5.
You know, Billy, just a little wedge for Furyk, but he couldn't even begin to think of looking at that hole.
No. The cover on that bunker, Mark, even if you cover that bunker on the right-hand side, I don't know if you could keep it on the green, even going into that pretty strong wind.
Well, this is a great, not that you ever play the Memorial as a prep for anything, because, I mean, what a great tournament. I couldn't help to think about Nicklaus's comment at the beginning of the show, the opening, that he wanted to make a place that the players would want to come to. I know you and I played here whenever we had the invitation. He's succeeded in that, but what a great example of control golf you need to play, and this will be very much like what the Open will be at Marion.
Mark, I think a lot of people talk about the condition of the golf course. They talk about the speed of the greens. They talk about all that is required shot-making wise to play well here at Muirfield Village. But you have to have it upstairs also. You really have to manage your game, and that's one of the qualities of players that win U.S. Opens.
I couldn't agree more. I know that when I got in trouble here, I had a couple of very high rounds of my own, is when I just got frustrated. And if you ever lose that keen sense of where you are and playing to your strengths and not trying to force anything, the course will absolutely own you. And we've seen that happen to some very great players today.
Mark and Billy, if I said, give me your top 5 in terms of what Billy just said, guys who can think their way around a golf course, I mean, these 3 would be in the conversation, would they not? If not right there at the top.
I agree. Different styles of golf, Billy, but they're grinders. Absolutely every one of them.
Yeah, very good management skills. I would say that if you were to rank them, you would certainly rank Tiger at the top of the list. You would certainly have to put Furyk in the top 5, and Zach, just pure grit and guts and the ability to get the golf ball around the golf course. He's in my top 10 for sure.
Well, it's one of the reasons they've all won major championships, and it just shows you different styles, different ways to get it done, but they do know how to absolutely get the most out of their games.
Yeah, they've all won on quality golf courses. In fact, Zach's won twice at Colonial, and that's a thinking man's golf course also. But this putt crawling up the hill, kind of leveling out, turning left.
Zach, in fact, won Colonial last year, finished 3rd last week. As Boo Weekley won there in Fort Worth.
And the kind of golfer that wins on these courses is the guy who controls his golf ball. And last week, Boo Weekley might have put on an exhibition of ball striking. It was very impressive to me, and I've seen a lot of golf through the years.
Boo taking this week off. Zach took this week off last year. In fact, didn't play the last couple of years, but is here. And in fact, if I said, give me some of your favorites for Marion in a couple of weeks, I dare say that these 3 gentlemen would be, well, certainly Tiger would be everyone's favorite.
Yeah, I would certainly think that Furyk would have a great opportunity there. Zach with just the 1 top 10. I think he's been struggling most of the year, but trying to round into form. But now Furyk for birdie. Most important thing he got was the pace of the putt from Zach.
Or should have. Of course, Furyk last year, 10 years removed, nearly, from his U.S. Open title at Olympia Fields, was in position with a couple of holes to go.
You know, we just watched, Grant, those 2 putts from below the hole. one thing for our viewers to keep in mind, you may have a 30 or 40 footer up the green, and it may look like you're being tentative, but if you run that putt 4 or 5 feet by, then you're facing the most treacherous putt you could have, back downwind, downhill, that you could run. You could run that, you know, well by if you're not very careful. Now Tiger from the fringe, Billy.
Yeah, this one's downwind. It's going to slide a little bit from his left to right once it gets out of the fringe, Mark. I would have to say that a level putt with the strength of the wind, if the greens are stuck at 14, I would say that downwind, they're probably closer to 17.
I was thinking the same thing. You know, people at home can't relate to this because they don't play courses set up like this, hardly ever, if ever. And, you know, a gust of wind can add a couple of feet of length or speed, and it can also change the line. Billy made a very good comment earlier about when you're reading these putts, you've got to make a mistake on the overread. You've got to play into the break, because if you hit low of your line, the putt picks up extra speed and can roll considerably by the hole.
Billy, we've seen Tiger hit putts that we typically don't see him make, especially this year leading the tour in putting, and now he's got another testing putt here for par.
Yeah, this is a putt that, you know, he paid attention to it when it was going by the hole. He knows exactly what it does, so just keep it inside the hole, put the nice pace on it.
So a par for Tiger. He's one over Billy on the par fives this week, having now played 12 par fives, and as you and I were discussing earlier, 61% of the time this season he's made birdie or better on par fives, and just not the case this week.
Yeah, in the 15th hole where he's made a pair of sevens.
Yeah.
He has just destroyed that hole throughout the years playing in the Memorial Tournament.
You know, these two nines are playing relatively the same statistically, but, you know, Tiger's played the second nine, the back nine on the golf course, 11 over par. What a great disparity between his front and back nines.
Par putt here for Furyk. Keep a good round going. So Tiger and Furyk and Johnson all make par at the par 5-7. Tiger's wayward tee shots on 6 and 7 cost him opportunities to pick up strokes. They head to the par 3 8th. And while we have a moment, let's update the leaderboard. Charles Schwartzel has given a stroke back. He leads over Kuchar and Haas. Matt Jones from Q School last year, the Aussie, playing well. And there's Masters winner Adam Scott.
I guess I'm more in tune to the college scene, but I see the name Russell Henley, who I watched him play a lot in college. What a great rookie year he's having. He's 3 under par for the tournament.
Our feature group, Johnson, Furyk, and Tiger Woods, to the par 3 8th when we return to Muirfield Village on DirecTV. Charles Schwartzel now has a 2-shot lead. Matt Kuchar with a bogey at the 9th. Kuchar and Haas at -7. And Davis Love has crept up to the first page of the leaderboard. Jim Furyk has moved up 26 spots today from 43rd place into a tie for 17th. Well, the 2002 tournament here at Muirfield Village was Jim Furyk's moment in the Memorial Sun. Shot a final round 65. It included hole outs at the 12th and the 15th. It was the lowest score shot in the final round by a Memorial champion. Jim Furyk received the hardware from Jack Nicklaus. Tiger Woods also shot 65 to win here in the final round. So those two guys playing with Zach Johnson in our feature group coverage. They're at the 8th. Grant Boone, Mark McCumber, and Bill Kratzer. Let's take a look at some of Jim Furyk's third round today. Mark, shades of 02 watching him make it from off the green. This was at the 13th.
Absolutely. He missed his green to the right, had a lot of green to work with, so it was a good miss. All he's got to do is feed this down the hill, and watch this. Again, we talk about gravity and stent meter speed. This ball goes in, oh, just like it was planned. What a great up and down. What a great stroke saver that was by Jim Furyk.
You always repair the sand after you make it. You ever notice that?
Yeah, you kind of
If you miss it, you give it to the caddy. Yeah.
You make it worse. Now, just going ahead one hole here on the 14th. A downhill, pretty quick putt from right to left, and he cans that one. 2 birdies in a row. Now we'll move up to 16. 16 is a very difficult par 3. Missed it to the right again. The place you've got to miss it is water left. Watch the magic out of the sand by Jim Furyk. Wow.
How many better from the bunker in his generation as we watch him at 17?
He's good all around the green. Now you see him on 17 after a good tee shot, and that's about the length he has to spot the other players, but the precision with his middle irons is pretty doggone good. And look at this ball. Lands at the right side of the green, lets the hill move the ball toward the hole. Pretty smart way to get it close. Never challenged the left pin, but still that ball continues to move, and now he's got about 6 feet for birdie. The 17th hole traditionally plays very hard. It plays the 4th hardest through all the years this tournament's been played. All he's got to do is start this on line, and he pushes it a little bit. That's a disappointing par. He can hold it from the bunker, but not from 6 feet.
Well, you could see how viciously the wind was whipping there at 17. Now, just as we came on with our featured group coverage on DirecTV, just in time to see this at the 6th for birdie. And his trademark ho-hum.
It looks like he's excited.
Yeah, for him, that is. And a wait here at the 8th, right, Billy?
There's been a wait. Henley, J.J. Henry, and Ken Duke ahead. J.J. Henry had a nice shot in here. So Woods, Furyk, and Zach Johnson able to see how the ball reacted coming out of this chute of trees into this opening, into this kind of kidney-shaped green. I think it's a hard hole location today, especially with this wind. Trying to get it in that front section of the green, it's just a hard shot to get close to the hole.
You know, Billy, this hole always got my attention because you're playing from such an elevated tee to a very narrow green, and when the wind was blowing, it was sometimes hard to picture the ball landing between those bunkers.
And you know what, Mark? Jack's cleared out a lot of trees around this green, so now it's a little more open. The wind hits it. The wind is very shifty today.
Mark and Billy, you guys played here, I guess 15 for you, Mark, a dozen times, Billy, for you. Just compare it from then to now and some of the big differences, if there are any, and maybe some of the similarities as well.
I'll let Billy go first.
Well, Mark, I think what Jack's done, obviously the 16th hole changed in 2010. That's probably been one of the more dramatic changes, but I think the fact that Jack has come in here and put bunkers behind bunkers that were already there. For instance, the inside corner at 18, the hole that we just played, the par 5, there's been a bunker behind the bunker off the tee. He's had to adjust to the length of the tee shot. So I think that's been the biggest adjustments that I've seen.
I would agree, Billy. You know, when the course opened, it was dedicated May 27th of 1974. It was 6,978 yards. That's the original yardage. Now it's 7,352. And that's not a glaring increase. I think the course plays very much the same. The difference, I believe, like you said, a big change on 16. And adding those bunkers just makes it play kind of the same as it did for us. But these guys are so long now. I mean, the fact that a lot of them knock it on 11. I think I tried for that green maybe a half dozen times in the 15 years here. But what did impress me today when I went out on the golf course and yesterday were the flashbacks of how beautiful this place is. I watched them mowing fairways this morning, and they were mowing them all in one direction. And because they're mowing them every day, Billy, they had a group of agronomy people from the staff standing in a line so that they wouldn't miss any spots because they could barely see how much they were taking off. Now we go back out to 8 and you, Billy.
Well, this is the 6-iron for Jim Furyk. And a gust of wind, and he caught it just in time. It looked like he was ready to pull the trigger, and that, I can promise you, the gusts of wind that are coming right now, they're reaching somewhere between 20 and 22 miles per hour. It's significant.
They were gusting to 40 at times yesterday.
And from this elevated tee, there's no knocking it down. I mean, this ball is going to be up in the air when you hit it.
Oh, that is a very solid 6-iron just left of the flag. The ball just barely creeps over that back little left edge right there, and he's going to be in the primary rough, and that might be where all the players exit, Mark.
Well, that means that all that bluegrass will be laying against him, which just changes the shot totally. How that bluegrass is lying makes a big difference in getting the club on the ball. Now Zach Johnson, Billy.
Well, Zach also going to go with 6-iron. Zach and Jim pretty much hand in hand with the distance that they hit the irons. I would say that their distances off the tee and all-around game they're pretty comparable. Zach starting it right, trying to bring it in a little bit. It's starting to move at the end. Very good shot.
Well, you know, players always want to miss the ball on the right side. And when you look at this on your screen, you can see there's more green to the right. But if you put it down in that bunker, you've now got a pitch that's working, you know, downwind, downhill. It's just a very difficult shot. Now Tiger Woods.
Yeah, he's going to go with one club less, and you have to believe that he's going to flight this. Just the abbreviated follow through. Yeah, this ball just right of the flagstick. Good looking shot if it's the right weight. Pretty.
Well, he's only hit 50% of his greens today, less than 60% for the week. But a fine shot with the wind swirling at 8. Feature group coverage. And a birdie putt for Tiger coming up at 8 on DirecTV from the Memorial. Charles Schwartzel, the first-round leader at the Memorial. There have only been a couple of first-round leaders who've gone on to win. Schwartzel trying to become the third, and now Furyk second shot at 8.
That's about as well done as you could possibly do from there. That was a great piece of judgment there, coming downwind, downhill. Pretty clumpy lie, Mark.
Yeah, there's a lot of clumpy lies around these greens in the bluegrass. So you and I now live in Florida, so we don't see that kind of rough, but Bermuda can be pretty nasty too around the greens.
You wonder how Furyk is going to feel, a Philly guy going back to Marion to play the U.S. Open in a couple of weeks.
I would think he loves that idea. That was my first Open ever, 1981, the year that David Graham had that. I think he had 18 greens.
I was going to say, I think you're right.
Yeah. I think he was trailing, name out of the past, George Burns by a couple shots. And one of the finest final rounds of an Open ever. It's a great facility. I just fell in love with it when I saw it.
Yeah, I can't wait to get there, see that golf course. Now Zach Johnson coming across the green. Now you saw the little pitch shot of Furyk race down that hill. Well, that's what Zach has to factor in with this putt. You factor in the slope, and you must put the wind in the amount of break. Wow, is that quick?
That's 6 feet.
That's at least 6 feet.
It's longer than Zach.
You know, Billy, I can't help but notice you can get a gust and there's nothing you can do about it. But if you're off a normal foot in speed, let's say you hit one a little too hard that would have been 3 feet by instead of your preferable 2, it goes another 2 or 3 more feet.
Yeah, there's a good 30 to 36 inch rollout. Whether you're coming down the slope or downwind, it's just amazing because the greens, as you said, Mark, are stepping at 14 on the stent meter, but I just see the players just kind of step back and keep watching the ball, and there's another 30 inches of rollout.
Tiger Woods on his first 9 today, a 44, his worst ever 9-hole score on tour. He's 2 under on his second 9 today, and a chance to get one here at the 8th.
Yeah, it's hard to match the pace with the line with this much wind. Look how gently he hit that putt. About a 7.5 foot putt, and you have to play it that defensively.
Well, Billy, these greens are pure. They always have been. But when you hit a putt that easy, you are absolutely at the mercy of every little speck and grain of sand and a little piece of poana bloom or anything to knock it off line. I mean, these players are not used to this. It's like putting on a billiard table, but the billiard table has a little bit of stuff on it that can push the ball off line.
Right, and you talk about, the numbers not being all that good for Tiger this week on the greens when you total it up, a couple of rounds where he's had 30 putts, but when you start having to putt defensively, now you lose kind of that normalcy that you have in putting to where you put some pace behind it. He's always been one that he's been a good lag putter, but he's also been one that he'll take a little bit of the break out and fire it in there. You just cannot do that here.
Well, he's gotten burned a couple times doing that this week, and I think even for Tiger Woods, with all his success and confidence, it does creep in that, man, I can't keep powering these things from 5 feet and have an 8-footer left.
Speaking of 8-footer left, something like that for Zach Johnson to stay 7 over.
And this is exactly what Mark was talking about. Instead of having that 3-footer, now you got that lengthy one. That ball kind of bobbled right off the get-go.
Yeah, it did. You could see that. Good call, Billy.
It really takes a lot out of you. It hits such a good tee shot. Maybe he misjudged the speed by about a foot, and he walks off the hole with a 4. Tough conditions today.
Furyk after that well-executed chip shot for par here.
That was a nice number you gave out, Grant. Starting out in 43rd position, now he's kind of crawled up to 17.
Yeah, he beat Tiger by 10 shots on their first 9 holes. He shot 34, Tiger 44. Tiger shot a Reggie Jackson.
You mean I could give you a stroke a hole and beat you, Tiger?
I'm going to let you guys convey that to him.
No. It's amazing, though. If Tiger 2-putts 18, it'll be 3 straight days of 30 putts here at Muirfield Village, a place he's won 5 times in 13 appearances. There's the updated leaderboard. Matt Jones has picked up a stroke. He's now joined Hassan Kucher 2 shots behind Schwartzel on the tee at the 9th, the 18th hole of the day for Jim Furyk. Our featured group coverage on DirecTV, round 3, day 3 of the Memorial Tournament. And Furyk tied for 16th place, 2 under par. Tough to know with the wind blowing, Mark and Billy, what the leading score will be at day's end.
Well, a job not done yet, because this will be a true examination of just how solidly you're striking the ball. This is a tough fairway to hit, going directly right back into the wind. This ball moving just a little bit to the right.
Oh, an unfortunate break, Billy. That ball, the last roll, got just into the first cut of rough. You can see the ball, but what a difference of being in the closely mown fairway where you control the spin and the trajectory as the ball sitting down about an inch in the rough, playing over a stream to a very tough green. I always thought this was one of the best short holes on the golf course, Billy.
I certainly agree, and actually, the chute that we used to have to hit through used to be much narrower off the tee, but Tiger going with the trap draw 3 metal. And that started quickly to the left, caught the trees, and dropped straight down.
He actually got a good break. That ball just got out of the primary rough to the first cut of rough. He'll have a very lengthy second shot, but he will have a clean swing, and he'll have a chance to get the club on the ball. That's the 3rd tee shot we've seen on this 9. In the last 4 holes, it has gone left.
One more here on the tee, Zach Johnson. Billy, we just saw him 3-putt the 8th. 77th on tour in putting. Last year he was 6th. You talked about the struggle this season. I think you can look no further than that number.
Yeah, when you start looking at 3 putts, 3-putt avoidance, strokes gained putting, Zach was always near the top of the list. This tee shot working left also. But it has been a tough year on the greens for Zach.
None in the fairway from our featured group. Our enhanced coverage from Muirfield Village, day 3 of the Memorial. A little bit later on, Rory McIlroy and Mike Weir. Glad you're with us. You see the wind whipping Tiger Woods at the 9th hole, which is the 18th for this featured group. He's trying to stay upright here, Mark.
Well, I mean, this hole always got my attention. I thought it was a hard fairway to hit. You put it in the fairway, still a very demanding second shot. There's no easy bailout. Now, he clipped some trees off the tee. Billy described that to us perfectly. He found a lie in the first cut of rough. He's got an incredibly long second shot over water to a green that sets in at an angle from right to left. Joe LaCava and Tiger discussing the yardage and what to do, and it is really blowing.
Well, it's 190 yards. I've got it for 190 yards from a very difficult lie. The ball's going to be well below the level of his feet, Mark. And I mean, to stay in that shot, going into this much wind, you catch this a little on the bottom of the club, and it's going to come up wet.
Well, you know, Billy, for someone, I predominantly hit a cut, you know, and into a hard one, I would even go to straighten it out or maybe and try to draw it. I can't imagine hitting a cut off this line, being able to guess how much the wind is going to affect it. If you come up short, you're in the hazard that guards the front of the screen.
Well, I'm just going to give you an indication of how strong the wind is. On number 5, the par 5, he had 244 to the hole and hit 4-iron over. He's got 190, and he's got the same club, 4-iron.
50-yard win.
Now you can see him widen his stance out, lean the shaft of the club just a little bit forward. Yeah, this is a huge pull to the left.
Unsuspecting patrons may have just been nicked. Another look. This is what they didn't see.
That ball is left almost behind the patrons. It's left of a bunker that guards that green and over it. Well, good news is a lot of green to work with. Bad news is downhill and the water is just on the other side of this green complex.
Yeah, and I think in his mind that was going to be his miss. I mean, he could not even attempt to go at the flagstick.
Well, Billy's Zach's shot doesn't look a whole lot easier.
Well, he's coming out of the primary rough. It's kind of a decent lie, 150 yards, but I mean, this ball needs to pop out of there. This ball getting beat down by the wind. That ball's wet.
Wow.
I mean, it's like it hits a wall, Grant.
Yeah.
It'll get there, it'll hit its apex, and then all of a sudden it's just hit a wall.
7 over par for the day is Zach Johnson. Tiger is 6 over for the day, and that makes, I think, what Jim Furyk has done today even all the more impressive.
Absolutely. He's just gone about his business and just kind of put his nose to the grindstone. Now a yard closer than what Zach had it. This ball needs to get up a little bit on that right side. That ball is going to hang on the bank. That's going to be okay.
Wow.
Now, if had that been at the flagstick, that ball would have been on the green, but that kind of that angle.
I'm trying to remember a time that I've seen Furyk go after a view like he did. He was hop, skipping, and jumping.
Boy, you can see that ball barely stay up. That's the seductive nature of this design. It's a little short hole that on a calm day, it's a 3-wood 8 or 9 iron, maybe a wedge. But today, it's all the hole these guys want. I mean, you've got to play left of the hole, but they're trying to guess these wind gusts. So we've got 3 of the best players in the world, the #1 player in the world, and 2 former major champions along with him. None of them hit the fairway, none of them hit the green.
And let me just ask Mark, you and Billy, Tiger Woods 4 of 6 in stroke play events this year in terms of winning. So he's won 2 out of 3 tournaments, and not great, but he made the cut, 1 over par. How surprised are you at what he did on the first 9 today, and really how he's played all week?
Well, I'm actually pretty shocked with the 44 that he put on his opening 9 holes in this 3rd round. I thought coming out here, his mindset is that the lead is 9 under par. If he can just kind of cut that in half, everything's going to be fine. And it was just an absolute shock to me that he came out here and posted that number.
I would agree with Billy. I don't think I hardly ever see any body language in Tiger that gives any indication that he's frustrated or that he's quit. And I'm not about to say that he's quit today because he hasn't. I mean, He came back and birdied 3 of the first 5 on this 9. But I could see body language that said, man, I am frustrated. But this great golf course that Jack Nicklaus built and designed to test the greatest players in the world, just like at Augusta or at Marion in 2 weeks, if you get going the wrong way, you're going to be frustrated. Now, Tiger's 3rd shot, Billy.
Well, that was way up in the air, and that's a little unfortunate because I don't think you could actually hit the ball any better than what he did right there. I think he intended to hit it in that spot, and once again, you catch a gust of wind, there's nothing you can do about it. But what is more shocking to me is the fact that we were walking down to the green.
Yeah.
And Jim Furyk's ball kind of disappeared. It still is on the bank, but it's kind of disappeared into a hole, and I'm kind of wondering how this ball is lying.
Another look at Tiger Woods' 3rd shot from left of the green at 9.
He's trying to hit a big flop there, Grant, taking a full swing, club face wide open. Like Billy said, that's probably where he wanted to land it. But he's got to respect the fact that there's water right behind the hole location. And that ball landed softer than he expected and really disappointed him.
And now you see Furyk in fluff.
Billy, what is the story on Jim's ball down there?
Yeah, it looked like it was kind of perched up on top of the grass, and then when he started walking, it took one little turn and got down into this kind of depression. So he's just going to have to kind of hit a little pop shot here. Has very little green to work with, maybe 3 steps. Good thing is he's on an upslope, so he ought to be able to elevate it. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
That putt for a round of 70 today. Furyk has moved up 30 places on the leaderboard. Tiger has dropped 25 spots. Another look from straight on.
Kind of a short backswing, trying to accelerate. Notice he holds that club face open, using that uphill lie to kill it. Very good job, but that doesn't surprise me with Jim Furyk. Tremendous hands, great touch around the greens throughout his entire career.
Tiger Woods with a par putt. And Billy, what had been, a good round off the tee for Tiger ended with a little bit of a thud. He missed his last 3 fairways, but I think your point earlier about his putting, you can't just look at the putt, you have to look where he's putting from. And he's missed so many greens. He's put himself in some tough positions, and this is not easy here.
Now this one, once again, you have to be a little careful. You're coming down the hill. This putt will move towards the front of the green.
That's been par for the course and well over par for Tiger in terms of his score. He's got that putt to break 80. To break 80.
You know, Billy, watching these guys, you're out there with them. I've never seen players, I'm not making excuses for them, miss their line so much, and I think that's because of how difficult it is with the speed of the greens and these gusty winds. They're actually probably playing at times on a putt like that, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 inches of break based on, do I get the wind gust?
Yeah,
and if he doesn't play it high like that, Billy, and loses it to the low side, he can go 4 and 5 feet by.
Yeah, and then combine that with another problem, and that's trying to keep your balance in this wind, Mark.
Oh, right. That's a hard thing too.
Zach Johnson has that coming back for double bogey. He will shoot 81.
Well, as I said earlier, Grant, in talking to Damon Green and Mike Cowan, Fluff, all week long, the swirling winds here in Dublin, it's been hard to figure out. Club selection has been almost impossible, and if you kind of get into a little bit of a flow and everything's going nicely, you're going to play like Schwartzel, Bill Haas, and Justin Rose and those guys, but you get just a little bit off. And it is so magnified with this wind.
This is a putt for a 69 for Jim Furyk. And he backs off. The best score of the day, J.J. Henry, a 68. It's the only round of the 60s so far. And what a score for Jim Furyk. 12 shots better than Zach Johnson. And likely 10 shots better than Tiger Woods. Billy, the only time Tiger has not broken 80 in an official PGA Tour round, 3rd round at Muirfield. You remember what that was like?
Yeah, and he got caught in the same kind of conditions with that strong wind.
Well, Tiger, before we could even notice, he just finishes up 79. It is his worst round at Memorial by a bunch.
Well, going into this tournament, he'd only had 3 rounds over par in 44 rounds.
Yeah.
Now this week, he's had 2 rounds over par already. That's how hard this golf course is playing, but what a great golf course it is.
Worst round by 3, and this is 14th appearance. And our featured group coverage continues on DirecTV with a couple of major champions. Number 2 ranked player in the world, Rory McIlroy, who had to do some fancy scrambling just to make the cut this week, and Mike Weir, Masters champion from back 10 years ago. Let's update the leaderboard, and there is another Masters champion, Charles Schwartzel, at 8 under, but what was once a 2-shot lead is gone. Now tied with Kuchar.
Grant, you asked the question earlier as we look at this leaderboard, what score will be leading? The scores are getting higher. Not often do you start a 3rd round with a leaderboard of this quality and see the scores go the other way, but that's happening today. There you see Furyk's great 69 and moved him way up in the leaderboard.
It moved him 30-plus spots up the leaderboard, tied for 43rd when the day began, now tied for 12th.
Justin Rose, 2 under par, a winner just 2 years ago, one of only 7 international winners in the history of this tournament.
In good conditions, Mark, in other words, with no wind, we're used to seeing 68, 69 being a good, solid score here.
Absolutely.
Because you have 4 good scoring opportunities with the par 5s. Today you recalibrate, and really par is a very, very good score today, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember several times playing here. One of the times that Tom Watson went back in '79, my rookie year. I shot in the 80s first 2 days, and it was all I could do to shoot those scores. It can be difficult, but we're coming back in just a minute. Matt Kuchar leading along with Charles Schwartzel. Don't go away. More of the Memorial Tournament.
Featured group coverage continues on DirecTV. Round 3 of the Memorial Tournament. Rory McIlroy and Mike Weir. McIlroy had to scramble just to make the cut right on the number. Mike Weir, 10 years removed from his major championship, really has been struggling to stay healthy the last few years as these two players try to find something in these last few holes today. That's a pose that a lot of players have had today on a very blustery, difficult day to score. Grant Boone, Mark McCumber, Billy Cratchit with you here from Muirfield Village.
That's the pose of a man who just made a double bogey on the 3rd hole. He doubled it earlier in the week. It's just this golf course is testing a lot more than their games today. It's testing these great players' personalities too. It's a tough day to stay even keel. We're looking at them standing on the 4th tee on the par 3, and this is traditionally one of the hardest holes in the golf course. In the history of this tournament, this hole is played the 3rd hardest hole on the golf course.
Well, it's been a year certainly that we were not expecting from Rory McIlroy. He's made all but one cut, yes. And okay, 4 top 10 finishes, but for a guy who entered the 2013 season as the #1 ranked player in the world, coming off a resounding victory in the last major championship of 2012, with everything on his side, everything trending in the right direction, I don't think there's any way you can say it's been anything but a disappointment for Rory McIlroy this year.
You know, it has been. I think he's accomplished so much, though, Grant, that some of us forget how young he is. He's still learning so much. He's going through a lot of changes. We've talked about equipment, which I don't think is maybe as much as we make of it, but that's one thing. He's now got his own management firm he's put together, so he left his manager. There's a lot of different things that he's got going on, but I think he'll find it with no problem. I really do. Now we're taking a look at Mike Weir. We've already said, always been impressed with his work ethic through the years. A very disciplined player. He's battled a lot of injuries as he's gotten up in age a bit. He's been out here quite some time. But that Masters victory is still one I can always picture. Some great putts he made coming in about a 6-footer on the last hole to tie Lynn Matisse of my hometown in Jacksonville, Florida, beat him in a playoff on the 10th hole. Now, as they approach this difficult, narrowed green par 3, which is measuring 205 yards, and the wind is absolutely howling.
Well, I'm up here by the green, Mark, and I can tell you the gust of wind that continue to come up and lay down, come up and go down. I mean, you're going to see players jockey back and forth between that golf bag, picking out clubs the rest of the round. It's just blowing so hard. And you talk about Mike Weir. He's made 5 cuts this year. He's played 13 events, 5 cuts. There was a stretch where he went about 2 years, 20 tournaments of missing cuts in a row, which is hard to stomach, and it's good to see him back. Mike Weir with a 5-iron. Just kind of squeezed down into the bunker. That's actually going to be a little bit easier bunker shot than what we saw from Zach Johnson earlier.
Yeah, Billy, he's just short of hole high. You can see him talking to his caddy, a little bewildered. It's hard to figure this out. You can hit a good shot and not be rewarded.
Well, you look at the flag stick and up at the green, I mean, it is absolutely starched. It's straight downwind. McIlroy, if he chooses, can just go ahead and force a 7-iron all the way back. Well, that's exactly what he's done. He's taken a 7-iron. He's flown it all the way to the hole. Wow.
Quality.
That's the best shot we've seen in quite some time. That is very impressive.
Coming off a double at the third, McIlroy will have a putt to get 1 stroke back here at the 4th. Matt Kuchar and Charles Schwartzel. We've got a major champion, and then maybe one of the best, if not the best player without a major championship, Kuchar, tied for the lead. We're feature group coverage here at the 4th hole. Rory McIlroy and this guy, Mike Weir.
Well, the bunker shot sounded like he caught it pretty cleanly, letting it release down the hill. Oh, my. Very good shot. And again, Mark, you see this roll out of the greens. It's, you know, about 3 feet more than what the players are anticipating.
Billy, I've watched this all day, and I'm watching this. And as it's rolling toward the hole, I said, I hope it gets there. I hope it gets there. Then it's like, stop, please, please stop. Hard to believe.
Well, Billy, McIlroy's year got off to just a dreadful start. The new equipment, of course. He missed the cut badly in Abu Dhabi, and he's made some changes off the golf course as well. But it's been a bit of a mess the first 5 months of the season.
Well, and you look at his starts on the PGA Tour. Yes, he's played 8 times, and does he have 4 top 10s? Absolutely. But the one thing that's missing is a win. He's got a runner-up at the Valero, but he's missing a win. He gets on these streaks where he plays pretty well, but then he'll just kind of make a mistake like he did back at the 3rd, where he just makes a poor choice and he makes a double bogey, and all of a sudden it leads to what we saw in the first round, a 78, and then you're kind of fighting back, trying to make the cut.
And there's more evidence of what you two have been speaking of, just the rollout.
It's hard to erase, you know, a lifetime of golf, even though his golf lifetime has been shorter than some of these older players out here. But, you know, you stand on the green, you feel the slope of the green in your feet. You've hit this putt if you've played this tournament through the years so many times. It's hard to believe I can hit it 6, 7, 8 feet easier and still get it to the hole, but that's the kind of readjustment these players need to make. We've found, Billy, and you've been out there with these groups, we have found very few players leave the ball dead to the hole where they can have that opportunity to say, I'll finish. It's always marking, remarking, rereading. A lot of work going on out there.
Yeah, and it's pretty taxing on you mentally as a player, because you know you never have that tap in. It's never that one-handed when it's hanging on the edge and you kind of put it in the hole and you walk on. It's like you said, you mark it, and now you're looking at something coming back up the hill, moving a little bit from your left to right. Nice conversion there, but it's always that you're always grinding, trying to get the ball in the hole.
Billy, did you feel, I know I did through the years, I mean, exhausted after a round like this?
Oh, absolutely. I think when you combine the speed of the greens, the wind has just been so difficult to judge out here, Mark. It's swirling. The players can't get in a real comfort zone to where they feel confident with the club that they're pulling. And yeah, you just feel like you've been out there and you've played 36 holes as opposed to 18. That's how much it just kind of wears on you, not only physically but on your mind.
Now Mike Weir is lining up this putt after a beautiful bunker shot that I think he thought was dead to the hole, but it's a putt about the same length as Rory's.
I would say it's approaching right at 8 foot.
11th on tour in sand saves this season. The only way you can be that high is to make a lot of putts like this.
And that is the kind of putt he made when he won the Masters that Mark was talking about.
Yes.
I mean, he just made like seemingly the whole back nine, the second nine at Augusta, Mark.
He did. I remember it clearly. All the way down to the last hole, he had to hold that one to get in the playoff with Lynn, and he was a deserving champion. That's the way he plays his golf, though. Very disciplined and grinding, and I'm not surprised to see that. Billy, I've never seen so much shaking of heads as they're discussing the hole they played and what the women's doing between caddy and player. They make the climb up to the 5th tee. This is the par 5 that normally is a hole you would expect to make birdie on. We've seen this very tricky. Back left hole location, a difficult hole location.
Talk about Mike Weir and his attempt to find his form again. You see, as Bill Kratzert mentioned, he's made 5 cuts in 13 appearances. He had to withdraw from Bay Hill back in mid-March with a rib injury and a right elbow injury that really derailed the last few years.
You know, that 5 and 13 is better than it looks on that graphic, because as Billy mentioned, he had a 20-something cut streak where he missed that many in a row, going back over a full year. Didn't make one last year. So I really think he's on the upswing. You look at that, you may not think so, but I think he's probably feeling like he's making progress now that he's healthy again.
Yeah, relatively speaking.
Absolutely.
To stay hydrated, looking for something. Trying desperately to find something to get them home on a tough day. Well, the leaderboard continues to swirl as much as the winds around Muirfield Village. Bill Haas had the lead coming into this third round. Fell a couple of shots behind Charles Schwartzel, but Mark, he's now back on top. A little ACC flavor there with the Wake Forest Demon Deacon and the yellow jacket in Matt Kuchar.
Absolutely, Matt Kuchar, Georgia Tech. I just had a chance earlier in the week to attend the NCAA championship, and Georgia Tech has made it into match play, and I believe they're in the semifinals today down in Atlanta, Georgia.
A couple of major champions there. Rory McIlroy was 14 when Mike Weir won the Masters in 2003. Rory just this last month, about 3-4 weeks ago, turned 24.
Boy, what he's accomplished by that young age. I mean, 2 major championships, has risen to #1 in the world, presently #2, but quite a few accomplishments that he's got to kind of put behind him and keep doing what he did that got him there. Now we go to Mike Weir on the tee, and this hole is still playing downwind because these players are going off the tee with less than a driver, Billy.
Yeah, and you see the trees on the corner right at the turn of the dog leg, the inside corner of that dog leg. You just want to kind of put it right on the edge of that tree. That is absolutely perfect. And that is right on that seam of that tree. Perfect.
That ball is perfect. You can see that right in the right center of the fairway. He probably will have a chance to go at this green if he elects to. With the hole located in the back of the green, you've got plenty of green to land it on, but it's tough to get it back there close. Now Rory on the tee, Billy.
Yeah, I think he can take it just a little bit right of Mike Weir. I think he can go more over the tree. Boy, a big gust of wind just came up. Yeah, and that's exactly what he's done. He's taken it directly over that tree, and this is hammered. Absolutely slaughtered. That's got to be 40 yards past Mike Weir.
And that, too, is a fairway medal. It's not 40 yards by it because it was a driver. That is a perfect, ideal situation for Rory to attack this hole. Maybe give himself a chance for eagle. Kind of make up for that double bogey he made on #3.
Well, Mark, let's take a look at this 5th hole from high above.
Beautiful hole as we drive down this thing. 527 yards, slight dog leg left to right. An unusual design feature architecturally. You've got 2 fairways to choose from on the layup. You can play to the left, which is wider, leaves you a longer third shot, or down the right, you can go as deep as you want down that fairway as it narrows to a green that's angled right to left on a beautiful flowing stream. Today's hole location is back left, so both those back center left, so both those bunkers do come into play today, Grant. If you get greedy and miss it right or left by just 15, 20 feet right of the hole, you will be in one of those deep bunkers. I always love this golf hole. Really, really interesting design, fun to play, a lot of decisions to make. You can decide to hit a utility iron off the tee and play for a layup from the time you start. You can challenge the hole like Rory did there and cut over those trees Billy described that you see on the left-hand side of your screen now. And if you do that, then you may even come here with an iron. And I'm sure that Rory will be today because it's playing downwind.
Well, we know what influence, even though the name is Muirfield Village, we know what kind of influence Augusta National had on Jack Nicklaus really for his whole life. Certainly in the creation of this golf course. We think about the 12th hole here at Muirfield Village. Some of the similarities to Augusta National's 12th hole. 4 par 5s that absolutely can be had in good conditions and when you strike the proper shot. But also, as we've seen with Tiger Woods at 15 this week, holes that can jump up and bite you if you don't play them correctly.
That's a very astute observation by you. The par 5s have great similarity. #8 at Augusta is reached by some, but not all. And that's probably the equivalency of #11 here. Par 3s have some similarity. But, you know, he named it after his Open victory at Muirfield in Scotland because he loves and respects that as a links course. But this is truly one of the great American parkland golf courses. We mentioned it's on a beautiful, as an architect, you know, the creation of land, nature gives you the palette to work with, and this 220 acres here And Dublin, Ohio is about as pretty a piece of land as I've ever seen. It's got gentle movement. You can have 3 features for a golf course: water, elevation change, and trees. He's got all 3 here. And it makes it so natural for an architect to work his way around the golf course. And, you know, they did it right the first time, because there have not been major overhauls of this golf course like we've seen of other facilities. They got it right the first time, and all he's done through the years is tweak and adjust, but not make major changes.
Well, Jack Nicklaus had a little home cooking here at his own tournament. Twice a winner of his own Memorial Tournament.
Of my 73 career PGA Tour victories, 2 are very dear to my heart. In 1977, I won the 2nd tournament here at the Memorial. I won it, and I said, given my role as a host, this was the most difficult win I've ever had in tournament golf. 1984 wasn't easy either. After a final round 70, I had to go into a playoff with Andy Bean, who shot 67 on the final day. I won the playoff with my 2nd victory here at the Memorial.
Well, the graphic tells it all, doesn't it?
So last year, of course, Tiger won his 73rd career tournament at this event. He mentioned Andy Bean. For folks who weren't watching golf back in that time, he beat Andy Bean at a time when Andy Bean was playing some pretty good golf.
He beat Andy Bean when he was Andy Bean. Maybe one of the best players in the world for several years. Jack's career, he's always been one that I looked up to in the way he played the game, the way he conducted himself. He's always been very kind and generous with his time to players. One of my fondest memories in golf is getting a chance to play with him in the final round of a tournament that I was very fortunate to come out on top. And I've never played with anybody more gracious, from going down the last hole, even calming me down. You've won this, you know, take your time, and a congratulation hug on the last hole. I always admired not only the way he won, but how unbelievably grateful he was and gracious when he didn't win.
And you think about the arm around Tom Watson at the duel in the sun at Turnberry.
And it's genuine, too, I can tell you that.
All right, how genuine is this second shot? How genuinely can he hit this second shot here at the 5th hole, Billy?
Well, I think he's making the correct choice here. He's going to take it just to the right of the trees. He's going to play to the right-hand side of the fairway, of this split fairway. And I think the chances are much better to get the ball up and down than risk trying to put it up close to the green mark. I think this is the sensible play. And you're going to make more 4s going this way than you are trying to go at this green.
Plus, hopefully, Billy, he's taking out any funny number or any odd situation.
That's a little bit unlucky. That ball didn't get to the fairway.
Yeah, you can
see
see
that first cut.
Yeah, we can see on the screen, Billy, that it stayed out by about an inch. That is quite unlucky that it didn't. The hill itself should have taken it to the fairway, but it hung up in that moist rough. What kind of yardage, Billy, does Rory have left here?
Yeah, 229. Talking to Rory about the wind conditions and what some of the guys were saying, you can see JP kind of look up at the tree and see just how hard the wind is blowing. And I kind of made the comment that this is the toughest swirling wind that I've seen for 3 straight days. And Rory looked at me and he said, "You should have been at Wentworth." The BMW Championship over on the European Tour.
He wasn't there long.
No, he said it was very difficult. So this is 2 weeks in a row where he's had these swirling winds.
Well, you know, Billy, that course at Wentworth, too, has changed. It got remodeled by Ernie, and it was a course before that the swirling winds. I remember playing the World Match Play there that you landed on land and kept playing, but they've added water and made it more difficult, and I think it played more like an American Parkland course than what it used to play like.
Yeah. And I think, you know, as you go back to the second round, Rory had to come out and finish his second round this morning and made a couple of bogeys, actually made a nice up and down to actually make the cut. But I think if he would have been able to continue yesterday, he might have been able to get it back to either at +1 or +2 for the tournament after opening with that 78. I think a lot of momentum was taken out of Rory with the stoppage of play yesterday.
You know, Billy, I couldn't help but to notice that this year during the Cadillac World Championship down at Doral, that he had flashes of really greatness. Early in the week, he would let rounds get away, And even like yesterday, you mentioned he finished bogey, bogey, up and down par on the last hole to make the cut on the nose. But up until that point, he was 4 or 5 under par for the round. He just doesn't seem quite yet to be able to put it together for full days and then several days in a row.
I think he's the kind of player, Mark, that if he plays 25 times a year, you're going to get 8 weeks of just absolute brilliant play. We've seen it with major championships. He's won both his major championships by 8 shots. I think he's just kind of that free swinging player that all of a sudden he gets in a little bit of a streak and no one's going to beat him. I kind of compare him to Phil Mickelson a little bit. You know, both are free swingers.
I like that.
Both are major championship winners, and when they start ginning, when they start clicking, they are hard to stop.
I really think that's a very good observation. And you know what? If that's his nature and his personality, he needs to be true to that. Lanny Watkins was that way a lot in our era. When he was on, he was as good as anybody. When he was off, he was down the road.
Okay, green clear, ready to go. 229, wind behind, 4-iron for Rory. This is hanging out to the right. That's going to be down in that collection area.
Billy, he's got a terrible angle now. He's got to go over the corner of that bunker. Not much green to work with off a tight lie. He will have his hands full on this third shot.
Now Weir, a third shot upcoming from that intermediate cut.
Yeah, and you look at the 2 shots that are left for these players, and Mike Weir, the much easier shot now.
We mentioned his ball hung up in that first cut of rough, but he does have plenty of green to let this ball run out if he can't spin it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and on that far right-hand side, Mark, he really doesn't have to go over any water at all. Because he wants to work it off the tilt of that bunker. The tilt coming off that bunker is going to work the ball a little bit to his left. He's just going right at it, though. And I think McIlroy do well to get it that close.
I would agree with you. Laying up isn't always bad, and we'll come back and see what these players do in our featured group back at the Memorial Tournament.
Here's the leaderboard. J.J. Henry and Adam Scott, rare rounds in the 60s. Jim Furyk also a round of 69, which was 10 shots better than Tiger Woods and 12 better than Zach Johnson, his fellow competitors today. You saw that perhaps earlier in our featured group coverage. Grant Boone, Mark McCumber, Bill Kratzert, our featured group coverage on DirecTV from the Memorial. We're at the 5th and the 3rd shot here for Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, and a very hard shot right here. You have to be so precise with this shot. Actually, not a bad play, Mark. Anytime you try to hit that little flop shot over a bunker, the grain of the grass kind of going against him there. I think he played the smart shot. Just go ahead and take your medicine 15 feet long.
Absolutely. I mean, if you could put 10 balls down there, you wouldn't be satisfied. But because you only get one, you'd take a 15-footer for birdie. Because, you know, you could add a funny number there if you got too cute with it. You know, or if, you know, his ball looked like it was hit maybe a teeny bit, just a line thin. But the good news is it carried further than he went. And it did check, Billy. It actually checked up into that first fringe.
Billy, you mentioned that Rory's made 7 out of 8 cuts. His scoring average on Thursday, Fridays, 24th on tour. His Sunday scoring average is 2nd. His Saturday scoring average, 182nd on tour.
Wow.
And a tough day today, although today has been tough for just about everybody.
Yeah, I did not know that stat. That's a little shocking to me, but now this putt for birdie.
Crushed tee shot, but he'll have to tap in for a kind of a pedestrian par. And he's anything but pedestrian.
Billy, you're right down there. You were talking to Rory a minute ago. He doesn't seem to be overly frustrated or angry. It seems like he's kind of taking it in stride today.
Yeah, you know, Mark, he's a young man that I've always been very impressed with. He really doesn't wear his emotions outwardly. I know that earlier this year at Honda there was the misstep that he took, but other than that, this is a very pleasant young man to be around.
I agree.
And he's always accommodating to everyone in the media. My two guys that I think are just so genuine out here, and you can always go to them, Rory McIlroy and Justin Rose.
Yeah, that's a real compliment, Billy. He's a great one for our young ones to copy in that way too. What a good attitude. Now back to Mike Weir in this birdie putt.
Really quick, because all the tilt is in this back little section of the green. Just got it started.
There's certainly no taking the break out of any putt today. I don't care if it's uphill. You've got to respect the speed immensely. And again, we have a player that's not just dead to the hole. I mean, he's got to work a little bit on this 2.5 feet.
But he is playing on the weekend.
That's a good thing.
And he hasn't done a lot of that in the last couple of years.
I really think he's probably feeling good about the progress he's making this year, and that's nice for Mike Weir. He's also one of the nice guys.
Just turned 43 a couple of weeks ago. Well, Billy mentioned that Rory is one of the nicest guys you'll find out here, always accommodating. Mark and Billy, as guys who won on the PGA Tour like you guys did, is he too accommodating? Does he need to find somewhere between always saying yes and always saying no?
Well, there's an adjustment, Billy, I know you're aware of that a player has to make, but I mean, he's been out here, you know, for some time now. He's played since he was a teenager. I don't think you can ever be too nice or kind to people. The adjustment might be in time management.
And I guess that's what I'm saying.
But there's always a way to be kind and still manage your time.
Exactly, and I think that's a great point, Mark. You know, you want to be accommodating to the media because you want them to be your friend and always be your friend. He's done a great job of it.
Yes.
And even after the misstep, he came out and everything's done, and he's just a pleasure to be around.
Yeah, he handled that perfectly, too. Hey, I made a mistake, but it's, again, you got to remember, he was 23. And when that happened, and he's still learning a lot about life, dealing with all kind of things, relationships. I mean, You know, he's got a lot ahead of him, but to rise to #1 in the world, and when I met him, had a nice talk with him this last spring for the first time, I couldn't get over. I told him I was from Ponte Vedra Beach, and his dad was reminding him one time when his dad had watched me play in the Irish Open, and Rory was being very respectful. And I said, well, my family and my friends in Jacksonville are happy you're coming this year, because if you remember, he'd skipped the Players' Championship. And that's all I said. We're glad you're coming back after missing. And he looked at me and said, Mr. Macomber, I made a mistake last year. I should have been there. And I'm really looking forward to coming back. And I thought that was such a keeping things in perspective, humble attitude from, at that time, the #1 player in the world. And I became a huge, fan's not the right word, but appreciative of the quality of character this young man displays.
Well, his father, Jerry, is out here following today, Mark. And we're just kind of going along. And I just think the young man has a great attitude.
And boy, does he have some talent. Wow.
I just hate to see people be so hypercritical.
Yeah.
You know?
That's kind of where we are nowadays.
It's golf.
Yep.
It's golf.
Yep.
Good point.
I think, though, that attitude, Billy, will help him as he goes through these next 20 years if he decides to play that long. And if he wants to accomplish a lot on the golf course, I think in the long run it'll help him to keep that steady keel.
I would agree.
These guys are waiting for this fairway to clear. Mike Weir will be on the tee first. That's not wind, folks. I'm assuming, Billy, we have some aviation in the area, some plane overhead.
Well, it's a single-engine plane, and thank goodness they're going downwind. Otherwise, they'd never make their destination.
They can't come back if they're leaving. There's a shot of it.
Is that remote control?
He's pulling something.
I'm not sure.
Back to the tee, Billy.
I actually have the controls down here, Grant.
I thought you might.
Now, Mike Weir, this would be perfect for him to start it up that left-hand side and just let it fall a little bit to his right. Yeah, he got a nice little hop just inside the bunker, and it's going to be in that first cut of rough.
I'd rather be in that rough, Billy, coming out of that downwind than out of that sand over the water, because if you miss it that, you're right in the water. Rory going with driver. 447-yard par 4 straightaway hole.
This one starting up the right-hand side, trying to turn a little bit to the left inside the bunker, and finds the fairway bunker on the right.
Earlier in our featured group coverage, we saw Tiger Woods pull his tee shot with the driver way left, made bogey. McIlroy has gone right. The difficult 6th. Featured group coverage continues from the Memorial on DirecTV. blustery day here in Central Ohio. Matt Kuchar, already a winner this year and seemingly in the mix every week on the PGA Tour. Now leads by 2 over Charles Schwartzel. Kevin Chappell has only 1 bogey on his card today, and he's moved into 3rd place. Featured group coverage here on DirecTV. Grant Boone, Mark McCumber, Billy Kratzer. And Billy is out there watching Rory McIlroy and Mike Weir.
Well, Mike Weir is going to be first to play, and right now trying to figure out what this wind is doing. You look at the green, the flagstick absolutely doing nothing, and then back here in the fairway, trees down the left-hand side indicating that it's left to right and down. But 194 yards from this angle, this is a shot where you just kind of just take it at the center of the green, maybe just inside the corner of the bunker, and not even look at the flagstick.
Billy, so important on a day like today to hit the ball solid. Probably the #1 thing.
In order to play well in the wind, you have got to hit the ball solid in the middle of the club face. Well, this is a nice looking line. This is exactly where he was looking. It was well executed. Really can't tell if it got up onto the putting surface from back here.
It did, Billy. It landed about a foot on, released to about 6 feet on the green.
Good.
We're taking a look right now, Billy, at the lie of Rory McIlroy. Clean lie, pretty big lip, but he's got a clean lie.
Yeah, you get that splash face. He's going to have to elevate this ball pretty quickly, and from this angle, Mark, you know, kind of going more left to right into the wind from this angle. As high as he hits the ball, I think he can get over the lip pretty easy. Well, that was a solid strike. And that was a wonderful shot. That's about as good as you could do from that situation.
Couple of birdie putts coming up for our featured group. McIlroy from long distance. When we first came on earlier today with our featured group, we saw Jim Furyk make a long one on this 6th. Maybe another one here from our featured group with McIlroy and Weir. Round 3 continues at the Memorial on DirecTV. Update the leaderboard from the Memorial Tournament, and Matt Kuchar's lead is now 3. Bill Haas, who had the lead to himself earlier, is going in the wrong direction with back-to-back bogeys at 12 and 13. What an enormous week this could be for Kevin Chappell or Matt Jones. Young players still trying to find a winner circle on the PGA Tour. Matt Kuchar's found it plenty of times, and he'll be among the favorites of the U.S. Open, I would think, in a couple of weeks, as will, I don't know if McIlroy will still be the odds-on favorite, but anytime he gets to a major championship, you have to look at that guy, don't you?
Yes, you do. You sure do. And at the bottom of that leaderboard we were just looking at with J.J. Henry and Adam Scott, you know, these are players who started well back of the lead and have 68, 69 respectively, have climbed up into the top 10. Not only is Matt Kuchar at 9 under, but the next best is 6 under. So they're only a couple shots out of second place. And it's equally important, I really believe, Grant, not only is how many strokes you're behind the leader, but how many players are between you and the leader. You know, I'd rather be 4 or 5 shots back of one guy than 3 shots back of 15 guys. We got Rory McIlroy taking a look at this long, lengthy putt. He and Mike Weir were having a discussion. Not exactly sure what it was about. Obviously, Rory's away. This is a putt of probably 15, 20 feet longer than the one that we saw on our earlier featured pairing of Jim Furyk and Tiger Woods, of the putt that Furyk made for birdie.
Yeah, and in fact, probably the first 10 or 12 feet of this putt is pretty level, but then all of a sudden it catches the downslope and then starts moving to the left, and it's just going to continue to gather speed. Slow down.
Speed. Very good.
Very good.
That was well judged by Rory McIlroy. We talked about players not able to leave the ball close to the hole. That's better than we've seen a lot of players do from 6 or 7 feet, Grant. He's got it in the perfect spot, some 2.5 feet straight up the hill.
I think I see a shadow. We haven't seen much sunlight today.
Is it a groundhog that we see the shadow of, or is it one of our players?
Rory hopes he sees 6 weeks of good play.
Yeah, he does.
After 5 months of up and down.
I think we've been pretty fortunate with the forecast.
Agree. Yeah, you're right.
I did not know how long we were going to be able to go into this 3rd round, but it certainly appears as though we are going to get all of it in, which is a very good thing. And now Mike Weir, a little different direction right here, so he's coming a little more up the hill, but still turning to his left.
It's a good birdie no matter what, but especially from that intermediate cut to get it to that point. And Weir rolls one in. He's now tied with McIlroy. Another look. This 6th hole's been good to our feature group coverage, hasn't it?
We've seen 2 long birdies. This putt's working its way up the hill. Perfect speed, catches the left side of the hole and goes in. What I like about this, sometimes there is justice in golf. He played a very aggressive second shot to take that strong of a line over the water, and Mike Weir was rewarded. And you just saw Rory McIlroy. He converted that 2.5 footer. So he walks off the hole with a very satisfying par after driving it into the bunker. A lot of things could have gone wrong, but this young, talented player pulled off a very smart, conservative, but smart second shot. And he's rewarded with this little tap-in you're watching a replay of. Solid. One of the few putts you can go ahead and put a little speed on it from that distance. There's a little bit of a walk back to the 7th tee. This is a par 5 that traditionally plays pretty easy. You know, a lot of birdies are made here. It's always one of the easiest 2 or 3 holes on the golf course because for a lot of these players, it's reachable in 2, fairly wide driving area. That is also, Grant, a characteristic of Jack Nicklaus's golf course. He's always given players a lot of room off the tee and then demands a little more as you come to the greens with the irons. And as someone in that business, I like that. You know, it makes it better for the average player, too, to kind of get him started on the hole. And, you know, it gets pretty tight when you get down to that final 4 1/4 inches across the cup. And that's the way he designs, and I think this is a perfect example of it.
The 2nd par 5 in the last 3 holes. Let's take a look at this 7th here, Mark, from the flyover.
Well, from high above this hole, you see a series of 4 sets of tees. The whole dog leg slightly right to left off the tee. Landing area guarded by 4 bunkers. If you can drive it in that area between the bunkers, now you've got a decision. Do I lay up to the end of the fairway because the fairway grass stops, or do I go at this green in 2? These players today, we've seen a lot of players lay up because it's the end of the wind. Earlier in the week, we saw players go for it in 2. Today, if you take a run at this green, you're playing to a right hole location, 16 paces onto the green, 4 from the edge. It'll take 2 good golf shots to reach this green in 2. With Mike Weir's length into the wind, I don't know if that's even an option, Billy.
No, it certainly is not, especially with the strength of the wind. I would think that he's just going to kind of take it to the corner of the dog leg, then lay up. We saw Furyk earlier try to lay up in the fairway with actually a 3 metal. That's how strong the wind is blowing. But McIlroy, if he absolutely catches one right on the button, just inside the bunkers down the left-hand side, he might be able to reach.
Billy, as the day's gone on and you've been out there, has the intensity of the wind decreased at all, or is it still up as high as it was when we started?
Well, right now, standing down the fairway, it's kind of subsided a little bit, but when Mike Weir was hitting his second shot over on number 6, it was kicking up again. There's just no consistency to how hard the wind is blowing, Mark, and I think that's the difficulty that the players are having, not only with their shots and their tee shots, but with the putting.
This could become a commercial. We got Rory bouncing it off the driver face. And there are the current conditions. Dublin, Ohio. We're just a little north of downtown Columbus. 80 degrees. And again, the chance of thunderstorms that Billy mentioned later today, looks like we're going to be able to skirt it.
You know, Jack Nicklaus talked about one of his desires in creating this golf course in this tournament was to get the greatest players to want to come. He succeeded in that. 9 of the top 10 in the FedEx Cup standings are here, 24 of the top 30. That's a good thing. 22 of the top 30 players in the official world golf rankings, including 6 of the top 10, 16 different winners from this year. So the players, almost to a man, really respect what's been done here. And I guess between Billy and I, we played at 25 or 6 of these, so we always wanted to come when we got invited.
Have you ever had that chocolate shake at the clubhouse?
I already snuck up and had one today. Yesterday, Billy. I snuck in with my player's credentials and just said, "Can I get a shake?" And they gave me one. I was ecstatic.
I had a FedEx Cup full. 8 of the top 10 you see, and 8 of the top 10 of the official world golf ranking.
How about this? The last stat I think is impressive too. 35 international players. I know the game is a global game now. We have a lot of international players who are members of our PGA Tour, but to see 35 members, and don't forget, this is a limited field. This is not a full field tournament. It is an invitational. So that's very impressive. And I think that's a respect for who's behind this tournament, the Nicklaus family, but it's also a great respect for the quality of this golf course. I grew up in public golf, Billy, and when I got here, I felt like a kid in a candy store. The conditions were just beyond belief to me.
Yeah, when you arrive in the Midwest with the bent grass greens, the bent grass fairways, the lushness of the fairways and the greens, I mean, it seems like every putt you hit, you feel as though you're going to make it or you have a chance to make it because the greens are so good, and that's what they have in Muirfield. It's just that the wind today, Mark, is blowing so hard that it's tough to get the ball on line. But I love the condition of this golf course, and Jack has just done a marvelous job.
Now Billy, Mike Weir is ready to go.
Cannot afford to hit it in the bunker on the left-hand side. And that's where this ball's heading. In fact, it's left of the bunkers.
It is over by the cart path. He may even have some tree trouble over there. We'll have to wait and see.
See if Rory can get one on that button that Billy mentioned.
Yeah, see if he can, you know, every time he tries to step on it just a little bit more, that the shaft of the club lays down more. And that ball finds that first bunker on the right-hand side, so a definite layup for Rory, and I'll go see what Mike Weir has.
The last 2 tee shots with the driver have gone right for McIlroy. Mike Weir was getting what he believes is a signal that says hit another.
He must have been concerned whether that was out of bounds. There is residence to the left, but it wasn't. So
I just gave him the safe side, Mark.
Billy just put a smile on Mike Weir's face. He told him it's in play. Good news for Mike.
Featured group coverage of the par 5 7th continues from the Memorial Tournament on DirecTV. What had been a very bunched up leaderboard now has a 3-shot spread between Matt Kuchar and his closest competitors. You're watching featured group coverage here on DirecTV, PGATour.com. Grant Boone, Mark McCumber, Billy Kratzert, and this is the 7th hole and Mike Weir's second shot upcoming.
You can see that Mike Weir is in the rough. He's well left of the fairway, so far left that our own Billy Kratzert had to tell him he was in bounds. Good news for Mike Weir is he's got an opening through the trees to get back to this fairway on this 3-shot par 5 for Mike Weir, so it's very possible with a good second shot he can be right back in position with a chance to make birdie.
Well, Mark, he does have the opening. I think the key for him with this shot right here, he needs to push the ball forward somewhere in the neighborhood of 210, 215 yards.
Is that a utility iron he's using, Billy, or a fairway metal? Utility iron?
Yeah, and he's just trying to get this thing to jump into this wind. Now the wind has laid down just a little bit. And that was up at the green. Oh, this ball came out hot. Needs to get down a little bit. It looks like it just kind of squeezed into the rough over there.
We saw earlier in our other featured group how difficult it is. Furyk had to play away from the hole location from that rough.
There you see where it comes to rest. And see you later.
The disappeared part is the bad part. And that bluegrass, it is so thick, and with a little bit of rain they've had and this warm conditions, low 80s, it's growing. You can watch it grow out there. They're mowing these fairways every day. They're trying to stay on top. They don't mow the rough every day, though. That's the problem.
And what does McIlroy have, Billy?
Well, from that right-hand bunker up against kind of the face, that splash face, so he had to elevate the ball again. So right now, Rory McIlroy and Mike Weir playing crisscross because McIlroy went way left on this one. So we're going right rough, left rough, right rough.
I don't think they're mad at each other, are they?
No. I think we're just trying to complete this round.
Yeah.
You know, the good news about that miss, and we talk about good misses, they can play to the right side of the green because the hole's located over there. Let's see how these guys get themselves out of this predicament in the Memorial Tournament.
Swing.
There's the updated leaderboard.
About a yes or no.
And there's Rory McIlroy leaning on that famous golf bag of his. Drew so much attention at the beginning of the year. Has a third shot here from a lie that has concealed his ball.
Billy Crasser, does this angle allow him to try to sneak it back to that whole location?
Well, I think you still have to play left of the flagstick here, Mark. 152 yards, trying to read the lie, trying to see how quick this is going to come out. That's the difficulty of this shot. Yeah, this ball came out nicely, in my opinion. Woo! And that is a wonderful shot from that situation. Actually, to get it back in that quadrant of the green.
That's a good job of reading the lie. I mean, there's a lot of educated guesswork in those shots. You've got to execute it, but you've also kind of guessed right on how the club and the ball is going to react in that thick rough. Now, Mike Weir, obviously a much tougher angle, Billy.
We'll see here at the 7th fairway where these guys try to lay up. Because of the slope, the drainage, all the water kind of runs down in this direction, and this bluegrass rye fescue grass is so thick where Mike Weir's ball is laying. He's just outside 80 yards, but I still think you have to shoot left of the flag. It's an easy shot to come up short with.
Get up.
Look at this.
You know, that ended up being a good shot, but I can promise you that was a 15-foot pull.
You can tell the result.
His comments, I'll take that. He knows he got away with one there.
Sure.
Good for him.
Absolutely. Not all breaks in golf are bad.
No, if you thought that, you wouldn't enjoy playing very much. The rough you were describing was exactly right. It holds so much moisture, it gets so thick there that it actually pulled his right hand off the club at impact. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, he's due a good bounce, isn't he?
I just hope he didn't hurt himself again.
That's the first thing I thought when he made contact.
That can happen out of that kind of a rough. We're going to take another look, Billy. We're taking a look on our monitor of this swing from behind. Tries to get nice and steep. You got to get on top of this ball. You don't want to get too much grass. Go straight down and deep. Instantly, the right hand comes off the club. Left hand, excuse me. And the follow through is like one of Tiger's as he stumbles forward, losing his balance. He swung so hard.
It's just so sticky. You know, the combination of the three grasses. And it's just tough to get a club through it, especially when it's that thick.
I wonder if you could, if you came with two sets of clubs and you get to a course and you go with a sharper leading edge on the days that the rough is wet and thick. I wonder if that would help. Do a little shaving in there. Now we go to the green, Billy, and Rory's going to obviously be out. But those were two very good shots. They would have been good shots from the fairway, much less from that deep rough.
Yeah, no question. Rory's pretty much going to have the same putt that we saw earlier with Tiger Woods. Tiger was in the back fringe back here, Mark, and we saw just how quick this putt moves down to the hole. I think a lot of that is the fact that the greens on the step meter are running 14, and plus you have the wind direction behind.
Is it going to straighten back at the hole? It looks like left to right and then looks like short up this way at the end. Is that enough? I just want to check the first thing.
Great example of player and caddy working together.
Yeah, I like the left to right. I don't know about the right to left at the end.
Don't think it goes back to the back of the green there.
That's like...
I don't remember it doing that.
3 cups left. Okay, you should be on this, see this piranha here? Yeah, that's where it's at. Is it? Yeah.
I like the read.
Let me search it out then.
You think they're not grinded?
Walking up the fairway, he's got to do media day for the PGA Championship at Oak Hill, and then he's going to go Tuesday and Wednesday and take a couple of looks at Marion.
For birdie.
Really good pace, really good pace. And it just cut right across the front of the hole.
You were right, Billy. It didn't even straighten, much less go back to the left. But that first break was so severe, I don't know if gravity had a chance to take over.
Would you guys be surprised to learn that he's 145th on tour in par fives this year? A guy who hits it that long?
Yes, I am surprised.
A couple of pars on the par fives here on the first 9.
Yeah, we're going to take another look at that putt as they're still discussing the read and the break. Now we go back to that, but you can see he set up a good foot to the left. I think he started on the line he wanted. As his caddy said, that piece of pointed grass. But now in the middle of the putt, it's breaking really hard. And it seems to leave no indication from the picture that it was straightening at all. I don't really think that green falls off on the back right. You know, most traditional American greens on Parkland courses go from back to front. Occasionally you have a green work away from you. But not too often does that happen.
Actually, you're right, Mark. It's actually pretty level over there. Now Mike Weir, almost the same line, about half the distance. This is for back-to-back birdies. That would have been the bonus birdie right there. Still a good 5 from where he drove it.
Yeah, on the tee, he was thinking he needed a provisional, and you gave him the high sign, so to walk off that green with a par, he won't be too disappointed.
Just glad he's paying attention to Billy.
Absolutely. We're going to get a chance to watch them go play the challenging number 8, the downhill par 3, as we continue with the 2013 Memorial Tournament.
Matt Kuchar's lead is down to 2 over Kevin Chappell. Kuchar with a bogey at 15th. What have you done with our 15th hole, Jack? This birdie or eagle hole historically is giving some of the best players in the world fits.
Easiest hole on the golf course for 36 years. Easiest hole on the golf course, but not today. Now we go back to the 8th tee. Mike Weir has the honors, Billy, on this 164-yard downhill par 3.
And this green is so much more exposed than when this golf course first opened in 1976. And I think club selection has absolutely been so difficult. We saw Tiger earlier with a 7-iron, good shot. We saw Zach Johnson with a 6-iron. Mike Weir has also chosen a 6-iron. You better flight it low to get it there. This is up in the air. Needs to go. Okay, pretty shot.
It looks like the wind has died down a little bit, Billy, which may have helped Mike there, but he had that right on line.
We hit a quality iron shot back at the 6th hole.
Now McIlroy.
Going with one less, going with the 7-iron. Left to the flag. I see the wind just hit that and killed it. Just a hard club selection right here, Mark.
Yeah, a lot of guesswork, as you mentioned. The wind swirled through here. Now they've opened up the screen. They just nail that ball as it comes out of those trees between the tee and the green. That ball dives deep into that slope which guards the green. There's a bunker down there. Hopefully that ball did not bury in that bunker. He'll have a very tricky little bunker shot, most likely, for his second shot.
Let's take a look at our updated leaderboard. Only a couple of players in the last 4 groups are under par today. You see Henry and Scott from way back in the pack playing in threesomes for most of the field. Obviously, Weir McIlroy just a pair because they're at the very back. They just made the cut on the number. We've seen players like Jim Furyk shoot 2 under par or 3 under par and vault nearly 30 spots up the leaderboard. This is the first of 4 events this year that DirecTV will have teamed up with the PGA Tour to bring you enhanced coverage of the PGA Tour. Multiple channels. We're bringing you the featured group coverage. Phil Blackmar is analyzing swings on the Launchpad channel. A chance to watch the CBS broadcast as well. You can download it and catch the DirecTV content on the PGA Tour's iPad app. And Mark, just thinking about when you first came to play here, you didn't even have Thursday, Friday coverage on television. Now there are multiple ways to access thanks to DirecTV and the PGA Tour iPad app. Nothing but good but for the fans.
It's fun to be a part of bringing this information and these pictures and telling a story about what goes on the PGA Tour. I have to laugh. You can follow college golf now on the internet. My brother said he used to have to call the press room and bugging him every 10 minutes. How's my brother stand on Thursday or Friday? Times have changed, and we owe a lot of that to DirecTV and these other mediums which allow us to tell people and show them the pictures.
McIlroy second of the 8th.
Really a hard bunker shot here. Slightly downhill lie, has to elevate it quickly. That's a 9 out of 10 there, boys.
Wow, if you gave me 10 balls, Billy, I wouldn't even hit it. That was breathtaking. He had to get that up as quick as he could, and he just cleared the lip doing that.
That was a solid 9 out of 10.
We're taking a replay look. Now look at the speed needed. As much as that club face is open, he takes a full swing like with a driver. It lands an inch on the edge of the green. That is talent. That is really, really good. Billy described it perfectly. That requires speed and technique, and he has both.
And it even skidded a little bit with that first landing. Could have been even a touch closer. That was a heck of a shot.
You know, 14 on the stent meter will create some skidding. There's no friction in this green. The greens are rolling like, I'm telling you, like a billiard table. And they're true. Obviously, you can get a little bump now and then, but the greens are in beautiful condition. Again, coming here year after year, all those years, I knew that I would get to see something special. I felt that way when I went to Augusta. I felt that way when I came to Muirfield Village, that it would be an experience like hardly any others.
Coming down to the green as we were walking down the hill, Mike Weir, he kind of looked over at me and he said, you know, when it was in the air, I really thought it was a 1.
Wow. Billy, this looks like it's really downhill. Is this exceptionally quick?
You know, there's a little bit of a ridge, a kind of a spine that bisects this green from that bunker all the way down towards the bunker where McIlroy just played out of, and he's resting right on top of that spine. And you're right, Mark, it is straight downhill from here.
Wow. Boy, he put it out there, Billy, and once it started to break, it just kept creeping right, and got 3 feet by the hole, and he couldn't hit it any easier.
Well, you talk about the general direction, the slope of a green. I think pretty much all the slope here at the 8th green goes down towards where McIlroy was in the bunker. It kind of goes in that direction. I guess if you look at it as a clock from the tee, 6 o'clock being the front of the green, kind of in that 7 or 8 o'clock. That's kind of the way that this green tilts.
Doesn't all the topography of that land there, it goes from right of number 8 down across 90 over to number 1. It works all the way down that hill.
This would be some kind of 3 if this goes.
How about a 3.5?
Oh, that's like a kick in the teeth. You know you made a mistake off the tee and you hit this just gorgeous bunker shot and you can't convert. I know it's the second to last hole of the day, but you're trying to claw and scrape for every stroke you can on a day you know it's tough. And now he's going to walk onto that last hole, you know.
4 over on this 9 and halfway down with this putt.
That's a heartbreaker.
He never shot around over par in his first 2+ Memorials, then a 79 on Friday last year to miss the cut, then a 78 to open this year's Memorial. Weir for par. Weir's played steadily on this 9. He's even par. 1 hole left for this featured group. Mike Weir and Rory McIlroy to the difficult 9th. The Memorial on DirecTV. On the tee at 9, Mike Weir.
And just trying to put the ball in the fairway. Weir going with a 3 metal. It's going to leave a long second shot going back into this wind. And this is a beauty right here. Right center.
Well, that's a victory, Billy. Our featured group earlier, none of the 3 players hit the fairway at all. So I think a little further back than the fairways is not a bad trade-off.
Yeah, no question.
It'll be interesting to see what club selection Rory makes here.
He's going with the 3 metal also.
He is.
Well, this is hit right on the button. I mean, this is deep.
He missed the fairway right with his last 2 drivers. Finds the fairway with the 3 metal.
That was such a good balance swing, Billy. Beautiful finish position. I mean, I'm not surprised that ball's right down the middle of the fairway, and like you said, deep.
Final hole of the day for Weir and McIlroy. Our featured group coverage continues. Well, on a day when many players didn't have a prayer, Kevin Chappell turns in a 68, and he's in the house, the clubhouse leader, 2 shots clear behind, Matt Kuchar.
You know, we're always used to saying Saturday's moving day, but they've moved the wrong direction today. That's how hard the golf course is playing.
Mike Weir finishing up our featured group coverage with Rory McIlroy at the par 4 ninth.
We're just inside 150. They're trying to figure out what club to select. You have the water fronting the green. You have a green that sits below you from this level of the fairway, and yet you have the wind directly back in your face again.
And Billy, if Mike wants to take a direct line to the hole, he's got a little more water to carry, doesn't he, than playing to the middle of the green.
Right. But I think, and right now I'm looking at the flags over across at the 18th green. I'm looking up at the trees here at the 9th, and this is actually about as calm as it's been. And I think that's kind of what he can't figure out right now.
It might be a question is, does he believe it? Because if it's into his face and he doesn't count on that, the last thing he wants to do is come up short.
I would say right now, the club that he's going to select, well, here comes the wind now. But I think right now, you gotta believe that the wind is there. You just have to believe. You can't afford to take a chance that it's laid down at all.
And hopefully the worst that would happen if you're wrong is you're 30 feet by the hole. But you said the penalty for not doing that is just, it's too severe.
Yeah, and he's gone to the bag to get one more club. So actually, 3rd different club he's actually pulled out of the bag. But now 149 yards. Pretty solid strike. It appears to be right at flag high, Mark.
It is, Billy. That's an excellent shot. He'll have a little bit of a left to righter, but not too speedy. I mean, he has a good chance to make birdie here.
Yeah.
Two good finishing irons on both 8 and 9.
Yeah, certainly did the right thing by going ahead and making sure that he took the club playing into the wind. Now McIlroy just 117 yards.
Remember, that was with a 3-wood off the tee.
Good looking line if it's the right weight.
Oh, it is. Billy, that ball almost flew into the hole, and it drew back about 2.5 feet, right below the hole. Those are the 2 best shots we've seen all afternoon on this difficult, challenging, short 9th hole. We're taking another look at Rory's ball in the air as it lands. See how close it goes to going in. Oh, maybe 3 or 4 inches, and it pulls back to about 3 feet, right below the hole.
That birdie, if he rolls that in, would keep him out of a Sunday tee time with Tiger Woods. And I don't think anyone would have predicted that the world's top 2 ranked golfers would be playing together late. Well, early, I should say, on a Sunday morning.
They might have predicted them being together, but not one of the first groups off.
Well, if they go in 3s again, they could play late because they'll be toward the bottom.
That's true, but
I'm not sure. We don't know yet whether we'll play in 3s or 2s tomorrow.
I'll go out on a limb. Do you want to make the birdie or play with Tiger? I think he'll take the birdie because, I mean, these guys are still trying to claw their way back into a respectable finish in the tournament. There's a lot of pride involved in this game, and these guys don't want to walk out of here just falling to the bottom of the field after making the cut. They want to work their way back up, and they also realize that a good round tomorrow sets them up for the most important U.S. Open coming up in 2 weeks, and that's a big thing for these guys.
Well, and neither is playing next week. Rory last year squeezed Memphis into his schedule. He squeezed San Antonio into his schedule this year.
Yes, he did.
To get ready for them, to get some reps for the Masters. But you'll have McIlroy, the 2011 U.S. Open champion who won it going away at 16 under par by 8 shots. one of his 2 major championships that he's won by 8, as Billy mentioned earlier. Tiger, of course, will take next week off. He's won the U.S. Open, of course, as well, 3 times. And that 2008 Open at Torrey Pines on one knee, one leg, was his last major championship of his 14.
Couldn't help but to notice, even in these stormy conditions the last 2 days, the incredible support that this golfing community gives to the Nicklaus tournament here at the Memorial. You know, and I'm sure they're appreciative of what the tournament does for Central Ohio. I mean, over $22 million has been raised, proceeds from this tournament to go to worthy charities in this area. And the PGA Tour is approaching the $2 billion mark. We'll get to that probably by the end of the year or early next year. And I know as a player, and I know Billy feels the same way, we got to play a game for a living. I mean, it wasn't even a job, and they paid us. And to think of all the support of local volunteers that make it possible to then give that much to people in need, I think it's a feel-good feeling for the players, I know, and hopefully the viewers and those who support the PGA Tour feel the same way. Now back down to number 9 and Mike Weir for birdie, Billy.
A little bit of a left to right coming down the hill. This is all about the speed, Mark.
Not enough of it.
Just lost an inch of speed at the end, Billy. It looked like a good putt. I
think he's hit a lot of good putts. I think he's been confused on a couple of the reads. But
wouldn't you agree, though, Billy, because of what they've gone through all day, it's hard just to go ahead and let one go. I mean, it's hard to just go ahead and pour it in.
Oh, there's no question. But this one should go in with some speed right here. So both players shoot 75 today.
Well, 2 guys that are probably happy to get off the golf course, and that's no indication of how they feel about the course. It's just a tough day to play golf. It's been a long day. A lot of these players finished up their 3rd rounds this morning. Rory's one of them. It's a long day. They'll be very tired tonight, and they know they've got a big round tomorrow.
2 guys happy to be playing the weekend. Weir after a couple of tough years making cuts, and McIlroy after a 78 in round 1. We're coming back to wrap it up here at the Memorial on day 3. This is the updated leaderboard on day 3 of the Memorial. A couple of weather delays on Friday. No such issues today. Kevin Chappell, a 68. Among the best scores we've seen today. A day, Mark McCumber, that has seen the scoring average actually increase from 73.6 to 73.7. You rarely see the scoring average go up when you go from Friday to Saturday.
That's true, because the players playing the best are there. Those who are struggling are down the road, but the conditions, I think, mandated that on a beautiful Muirfield Village golf course. We continue to look at the leaderboard. Michael Thompson, a winner early in the year, shot 70. Those red numbers are jumping out to me. Luke Donald is back to 1 over par with a 71.
Mark, as we think about Sunday at Memorial, another Memorial Day tradition, the Indianapolis 500 comes to mind when I think about what we might see tomorrow. It could be wild and crazy.
Well, we saw some crashes today. That made me think of auto racing. Hopefully the weather maybe cooperates a little more tomorrow without the wind, but we see a lot of high scores. Zach Johnson and Justin Hicks shot in the 80s, 81. Tiger Woods had to work hard. How about this? 44, his highest round 9 holes ever as a professional on the tour, 35 on the back 9. He certainly ground his way out. But the scores really were tough today for the players. The course won, but tomorrow someone will leave here very happy.
Back tomorrow with more enhanced coverage from the Memorial on DirecTV. For Bill Cratchit and my partner Mark McCumber, I'm Grant Boone. And for our entire DirecTV crew, thanks for watching Day 3 of the Memorial from Muirfield Village in Dublin, Ohio. Should be an exciting final round tomorrow, and we'll see you then.